So to show you how to really properly thinly slice your vegetables for a spring roll or for a stir fry or anywhere where you need a nice, very finely cut, what we call Julienne cut, I'm going to show you two different ways. And the real sort of old-fashioned way is to cut your vegetable. In this case, it's a carrot, but whether it's a celery or cabbage or onions or whatever, you've got to cut them really, really thin. And this is where the knife skills that we've been practicing are really going to come into play, because we've got to get really working on the forward motion of the knife, the holding of the fingers to hold the vegetable so that you're not going to be cutting your fingertips as you slice, and not using a lot of pressure, really going to let the knife sort of do the cutting as it moves forward. And you can see how I've barely moved the knife back and let the knife do the slicing itself. So I get this nice, really thin slice that you're not going to get if you just kind of chop down with your knife like that. So you start out with your knife, try to get it as close to the tip as possible. And without really putting any pressure at all, I'm letting the knife move forward so that the knife is doing the cutting rather than chopping. And then you get this really beautiful, nice thin slice. Obviously, as you get faster at it, you don't have to stop and show how each one is, but it's, again, totally okay if yours are not this thin. I've been doing this for years, so it gets easier the more you practice, but you want them to really be as thin as you can possibly get them, nice and smooth. And then when you have a couple that came out really, really thin, you can put, I usually do only maybe 2 or 3 on top of each other, and again, try to get as nice, fine, thin, almost as thick as a hair or as thin as a hair without getting my fingertips cut. If you get to where you're not comfortable with the slicing anymore, just stop. You're not at this point gonna be able to utilize everything. But this is what we're going for, nice and thin. If they're thicker, then your spring rolls might fall apart, or they're too crunchy. But again, at this point, we're just practicing. The second way I want to show you, which is probably going to help you at this point, is if you cut it again, sort of the same length, should be about maybe, I don't know, 2.5, 3 inches long or so, and really press down with your vegetable peeler, you can get slices where you don't have to worry. You can't see that. Let me move it here. I'm going to really press down with my vegetable peeler, and then I get these beautiful, nice, thin slices. Go really slowly. Requires some sort of finger muscles, but go slowly. You really shouldn't cut yourself with a vegetable peeler. But then I've got these really beautiful slices from using the vegetable peeler. And then I can pile these on top of each other. These might even be a little thinner than I got, which is nice. And again, I get my sticks. Last week we did salsa and Greek salad, which is more squares. These are more sticks. And look how beautiful and thin those came out. So whichever way works best for you, I would recommend probably trying the vegetable peeler method. Again, just then to Julienne a cabbage. I have a big red cabbage. For this, I just cut off the top because I'm only going to need a little bit of it. I'll save the rest for something else. In the same way, I think we did this last week for the, what did we do? Did we do cabbage last week? Yes, for our fish tacos. What you're going to do is just, again, take your fingers and really, really thinly. The good thing about cabbage is the leaves are already nice and thin, so it's just your job to make sure that your slices are really thin, because the vegetable does the rest of the work for you. Really, really easy. And I'll finish that, and then I will show you how to do green onions, which again are very easy because the green onions themselves are thin. And green onions are an integral, or sometimes called scallions, are an interesting vegetable. They're one of the vegetables that kind of are used all around the world in lots of different cuisines, but different cuisines use different parts of it. In Europe, you're more likely to see the white part being used on a salad or something, and in sort of Central American and Asian cuisines, you're more likely to see the green part used. You see this on everything from miso soup to different soups or sushi, where it's just kind of sprinkled all over everything. So the white part is a little bit more oniony flavor, and then the green part is a little bit more, I don't even know how to describe it. It tastes like a green onion. So again, I'm going to cut it into sort of the same length as I want my carrots to be. So I want everything to kind of be similar. It's a little bit long. But with the green onion, if I just hold it and I slice it, it gives me the cuts that I want because it's already nice and thin. So you get the thin cuts just because of the way the onion itself is shaped. Very, very easy to do. If you get one that's a little bit too big, you can cut it off, or it's all going to look fine when it's in the spring roll or the stir fry. And then the cucumber, what I'm gonna do is cut off the ends, cut it in half. And again, you can do the vegetable peeler method with this and get some super nice, beautiful thin pieces. Or you can do the same way we cut the carrot and cut slightly thicker pieces. But the idea is you want to stop when you start to get to the seeds and then turn it and then continue cutting, because the seeds, those pieces tend to fall apart. The seeds don't really hold together really well. And again, since they have seeds, that means cucumber is a fruit. And then the last two knife cuts I'm going to show you, if I just showed you how to do a fine julienne of the green onions, I'm going to show you how to actually cut the green onions into circles, which is super easy. But we'll use this, as I mentioned, this is a garnish on a lot of different dishes. We'll use this on the stir fry. What I'm going to do is you just cut the stalk across the stalk, and you see how I'm using that nice rocking motion. My knife is never really leaving the board. Every time it comes back, my fingers move down a little bit and the knife goes through, and you end up with these beautiful circular slices that then become the garnish that we sprinkle on the finished dish. And again, this works really nicely with the green part. You can go all the way down to the white part, but it starts to get gets very oniony when you get down to the white part. If I'm using the white part of the scallion, I like to let that soak in some water for a while. So once you get down to about here, where it starts to get light green, that's about where we're gonna stop. And that's plenty. This is just a garnish, again, that just gets sprinkled on the top, so we don't need very much at all. Nice little round circles. And then the last thing is the pepper, and you can use whatever pepper. I wanted to use red pepper, but there were no red peppers in the store, so I just bought a yellow pepper. It's fine. And again, we cut off the top and the bottom. I pull out the seed part. Bell peppers seeds don't have heat. These aren't chili peppers. These are sweet peppers. And then again, what I'm going to do is take my knife and parallel to the board, I'm just going to shave off these kind of spongy white parts in the center. And unfortunately, it's fortunate that these are thin, but unfortunately the peeling doesn't work so well on the peppers because they're oddly shaped. So this you have to just kind of flatten out as flat as you can get. And then with that exact same rocking motion, try to get in, and you don't have to go fast. If you need to go as slow as you need to get nice little thin cuts, whatever you get. green pepper, yellow pepper, red pepper. They're perfectly fine for this. I don't really love the green pepper because we already have the cucumber and we're gonna have the mint and the cilantro. So there's enough green going on. So a colored pepper is great for this, just for variety of colors. But again, you see how I slice forward, my fingers move, I slice back, then slice forward, my fingers move. So you're sort of multitasking with your cutting hand and your holding hand and your eyes. But the whole time, my finger right here, I get that in there. My finger right here is where the knife stops. So my fingertips aren't anywhere near the blade because they're hitting my knuckle. That's hard to look at over the side of the camera. Make sure I can get you to see it. So there we go. That is our yellow pepper.